Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here today. We're going to look today at I'm going to actually start in the gospel today, and then we're going to go back and see how that's fulfilled in the Old Testament. Kind of different, but that's what we're going to do. And where I want to start is in Matthew chapter 10, verse 40, where Jesus says this. He says, "Anyone who receives you receives me. And anyone who receives me receives the Father who sent me. If you receive a prophet as one who speaks for God, you will be given the same reward as a prophet. And if you receive a righteous people because of their righteousness, you will be given a reward like theirs. And if you give even a cup of cold water to one of the least of these, you surely will be rewarded." So Jesus is saying that if you give to a prophet or to one of his disciples who are going out on a mission journey, you receive a reward, and you'll receive what they receive. Now, in the Old Testament, the prophets were the voice of God, and when you received a prophet, when you listened to a prophet, you received the reward for doing that. Of course, in the Old Testament, they didn't do that very often, listen to the prophet, just as today we don't listen to the gospel either. A lot of people don't. So I want to go, I'm not going to read this part, but I'm going to tell you the story that's in 2 Kings chapter 4, where Elisha is told to go to the town of Shunem, Shunem, and he's told to go to a wealthy woman who lives there. And she welcomes the prophet into her home, gives him a place to stay while he is in this town, while he's fleeing from the king. And or the queen too, I guess, mostly the queen. And receives a reward. Her son, who dies, is raised from the dead by Elisha. It's kind of interesting. Both Elijah and Elisha do the same thing. They raise a son from the dead of the people that they're living with. But she receives this reward for having welcomed a prophet. Also in Matthew, Jesus is talking about the end of times, the final judgment, when he says that those who do to the least of these, those will be the sheep, and they'll come into my kingdom. And those who don't do to the least of these, give a cup of water, visit in prison, do the gracious, kind things, that those people are going to eternal damnation or to hell. So there's this kind of thing about there's a connection between caring for the poor and even your salvation. But here's the connection. Here's how it works. It isn't that the people that are doing these things, like if you just heard this and started doing it, that somehow that would be what God wants. No, it's that this is the way God is. This is what God does for us. His grace, His love, His caring for us is what He does for us. And as brothers and sisters in the Lord, our natural inclination is to do those things for others. So when Jesus says the sheep who do these things, well, that's just naturally what we do because we have received so much from God. So it isn't that God is making this judgment. It's just that those who are followers of Christ, who are the sheep, do these things because they've had them done to them. And so they enter into the eternal rest that was prepared from the foundation of the world. The foundation from very beginning of Genesis, this has been prepared for us because we're followers of Jesus, because we have experienced the grace, the forgiveness, the love of Jesus Christ. Therefore, it's what we naturally do. It's what we do when we share that with others because that's who we are, right? And there's a definite connection between those two, that those who care for a prophet in the Old Testament, those who care for preachers or anyone who is on a mission trip in the New Testament in today, and those who cared for the disciples in the New Testament, that there's a connection. It shows who you are, that you're one person that's been affected by God's love and God's grace in your life, and that makes you a sheep and not a goat. By the way, the goats say, well, when did we see you, in prison? When did we see you without clothes? When did we see you without food? And Jesus says, well, I am the person who doesn't have clothes. When you do it to one of those people, you do it to me. So that's kind of a neat reason to help other people out, isn't it? Because we're really helping Jesus. Well, have a great day. God bless. And stay safe. Bye.